My research on horses in wild situations, not being broke or trained or schooled or whatever you want to call it by people, showed me a lot of insights, a lot of things that are, I think, very worthwhile to mention. For example, I was looking at a movie about somebody who was talking about leadership and ways of how to lead. And I agree that if you have horses in captivity, that you are in charge and you're responsible. And I think that's a very key word, responsible. That gives you responsibility on gaining knowledge and getting to know the animal for who he is, what he needs, fulfill needs. But people are so focused on this leadership stuff in direct connection. What do I see on these horses which I study at this moment in my own country? I see that they cooperate. They don't lead. There's no leader. And when I went for the first time to real wild horses, and I met scientists who were investigating horses for a long time, for years, spent lots of hours in the field. Then they sort of make jokes about haha, and other scientists or investigators have been looking for leadership, and they couldn't find the leading mare, the alpha mare or the alpha stallion or stuff like that, and they were frustrated. And they talked about this in a way as if they were explaining that sugar is sweet, you know. It was for them, the people I met, it was so common. So you can, well, I could conclude that they, and I'm not going to judge anybody's work. I could conclude that it was true that there was no one leader and there was no alpha mare. And of course you could see a hierarchy in between the horses. You could see one horse that always steps away for others, and you can see one horse or two horses when they come, the other ones walk away. But you can also see that the corrections. Many times horses correct each other, and what do they do? It's it's only a few seconds. It's only one moment of get out, and that's all. They don't stay long. They don't run after another one so they can accomplish this leader position that which people many times do. And then I see, when I look at those movies, most of the time I turn off the sound, and then well, first of all, I'm amazed about why do people want that? How can people think of this as wow, we're going to be this remarkable leader? Is it reality or is it fantasy? I mean, it's people's fantasy. Then the other subject about the diet. I mean, yes, we eat meat, at least I do, many people do. I always have to find an excuse for doing such a terrible thing, but it's not about the diet, and we are not predators. Yeah, we are, but in a way. I mean, we predate. When you're female, you predate for cheap cheap things in the supermarket, but we don't hunt really. I mean, we buy things that tell us this is bread, and we believe it's bread, and I think it looks pretty like bread. At least I'm confident with it. What I mean to say is that there is a lot of, well, there is a big gap in between reality and fantasy. Many times I see these people talk about leadership, talk about, and there's another alternative group of people who are talking about healing stuff and spirits and all those things. And with all the respect, I mean, everybody has the right on their own belief, but I always keep saying, take your responsibility. You are responsible for a horse. A horse is sentenced to life in captivity in our situations. We can't let them run free the way we should want it. And beside of that, in reality and nature, I have to say that I many times saw things where I thought, oh my, in a domesticated situation, I would call the vet. This is a hard situation, but you get sort of used to it when you're looking wildlife, when you're doing your research on wildlife, that you're only an observer, you're only a spectator, you're not a member. And I think that's one of the things that people underestimate, the cooperation of the herd, the real cooperation. When somebody is hurt in the herd, many times I saw horses do nasty towards the one who is hurt, which is, to me as a human, hey, that's not good, you should help. And I think that helping need is something of humans. But they don't like it when somebody is injured or crippled or whatever. What I also see, and what I didn't know, and I really learned that this year, I mean, I'm not going to lie about that, is that mares can change by themselves from herd to herd. They sometimes live some time alone. As far as I know, when they have a foal, they can separate from the herd. I always thought, no, the stallion is the only one who keeps all the members together, and he's responsible, and he's herding, and he's doing this, and he's doing that. Well, every time when I go to the wild horses, at least at this group, which I'm watching now since November, and it's now January, I see the stallion stand at the back. He's definitely not giving charge to the mares and the foals in front of him, who are moving, but he's always on the back. What does it tell you? Well, it tells you that they cooperate, again, cooperate, that they are together as a team, as a group. And sometimes I make in my head, I say, well, horses are like a body. As soon as there's something wrong with our body starts to heal, starts to recover, and wants to go back to balance. Well, that's exactly what you see in nature. If other horses, if a member leaves the herd, well, it's okay. Sometimes the stallion will try to get her back, but sometimes not. And I would like to have an answer on that, because my theory is that perhaps it might be because when a foal is born, the foal doesn't follow the mare immediately. It takes some time. The first days, normally, well, you see it in domesticated situations too, the mare is following the foal. She's walking after the foal. So then you might get separated. Anyway, it sounds to me pretty plausible, because that also explains why this stallion can't do his job all the time. He cannot take a mare and let her leave her foal. He can't. I mean, the love, the care of a mother is very strong. It's something very, very strong in nature. Makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if not, there would be no horses, and horses in the wild, or feral, the feral horses in the wild, or however you want to call it, are pretty successful. They breed, and they make more members, and there are many. Anyway, horses live pretty well without human training and stuff. So a few things is that leadership, the prey-predator relationship. I think for horses it doesn't matter like that. They don't care about what you eat. They care about who you are. And I think that's exactly my point, that we should care in who they are. We should care for them. And that means that when you start to have horses yourself, that you need to take your responsibility, that you need to learn about the physical needs, but also, and then I come to my circle theory, the physical needs, the emotional needs, the feelings of a horse. Why does he do this? Why does he do that? I mean, it's all about feelings. It makes them predictable, and it makes you wise if you should know that. The instinctual part of a horse. Why does he do this? Again, why? Find out why a horse behaves like a horse. And the common sense. And the common sense is something that's inside the brain. And until now, people are not focused on the brain of a horse, but many still see a horse as biological creature that needs to be trained. And I think it's the opposite. It's like in the herd. The herd itself doesn't do anything. The herd has individual members who belong to this group, yes or no. and the herd doesn't do anything, but the members of the herd definitely are present, and there's something happening in between this herd, and they have their own responsibility as an individual, not to become crippled, not to become lame, etc., not to become ill, because as soon as they would have a fever, they're pretty helpless, not only for predators but also for the influences of the weather, which are also a threat for horses that live in the wild. Anyway, but so horses have a lot of things to be aware of: self-awareness and social awareness. And you can only be self-aware if you train your brain, use all the skills, all the senses you have, and combine them and be honest. I mean, we have developed a language so we can express what we think and feel. Well, how do you call it? Evolutioned or whatever, to something that we don't say what we really feel, really think, and we're doubting and we get distracted, and we don't have a strong religion the way, for instance, most animals have, by keeping them to their instinct. On the other hand, if we look at our species, if I look at our species, I think we are very social minded. In reality, we also want to relate, and we don't only want to relate to other members of our own species, but we also want to relate, in this case, to horses. Dogs have been our friends, horses have been our friends, but what I believe in is kindness, gentleness, cooperation. Ask another one what to do. We're not in a herd, we're not living in a herd, we're a human horse relationship. And if I think about how does a horse see us, I think he just sees us as a different species, and he has it's right. So you have to be honest, you have to be clear, you have to be able to be yourself. And I think when you are yourself, I think if I should explain the word freedom, then I think being yourself is freedom. Being responsible, being yourself, being aware, and being high social of mind. Okay, that's for now. Hope it's interesting enough.